Hello, everybody. It is time for another Eden Chief Delegate meeting. This is meeting number 14, and it is January 20th, 2022. So we've been chatting a bit, getting ready, and the first topic we'll kick off is our updates. And since Lovejoy's not facing the camera, I'll go bottom. I'll go Aaron first. I'll do like my screen in the reverse order.
Awesome. I have not had a meeting with the specific developer on my campaign project, the account creation stuff. So I have no updates there. Again, still account creation. We are just starting to get back on track with our projects. New people coming in that are potentially going to be able to help with that as well. So I think the next thing you'll see out of us is probably some open source libraries, and we might do an integration into Unicode before we ask like somebody like John to integrate it into his site just to test it out. That was kind of a recent thought I had. That was part of what we ran on as well, or I ran on. It's so weird with companies and projects. Anyways, so yeah, that's where that's at. There hasn't been much public engagement on the topic, but I also haven't been fostering it. So it'll be super interesting to know how this project is received.
Awesome. Okay, Jesse, you're next.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, I got a few updates. I got inspired this week to focus on our DApp ecosystem. There's a great web page on EOS support that lists a great list. We have like a paragraph for each DApp or project, and it kind of inspired me to kind of build off that, make it a little bit more livelier. So we have we've been working on like two pieces of content for this. One is I have started writing an article, the top 21 DApps on EOS in 2021. The other is an image, which I will show now. I share my screen. And so this is an updated image of the DApp ecosystem. There was something like this in 2018, and we wanted to update it. This is from the French Hive, Bishop, who is the Princess Bee of the French Hive. He works at EOS support. He's a Reddit mod, amazing guy. And so I'll go through this a little bit. So here are like our categories. We have Violet Garden here. I'll just go through like everyone on the call here. Here's EOS support. We have Helios and the EOS Network Foundation. We've got Anchor and Unicode. And yeah, so this is from the bees. And so this is not the final. I'm actually going to send it to you guys in our private chat to get your opinions on any like additions or deletions that you think is necessary here.
Yeah, kill, comma's dead.
Right, exactly. Okay, so yeah, stuff like that. And so, yeah, I mean, I remember when I first saw this back in the day, it was a really cool piece of content. So we were super excited to kind of revive it. And I think it looks great. And I think Bishop did a great job.
I agree.
Yeah, that's super cool. Where is that found? If people, or it's not published yet because it's not finished?
Right, it's not finished.
Okay.
So it'll be, I sent it to Zach at ENF. I'll send it to you guys, just get some advice before we kind of have our final version. So besides that, I did want to mention that I've kind of been reflecting and noticing about the FUD. I'm happy to report that I have seen a decrease in the amount of FUD out there. And I'm trying to think like why that is. One of my thoughts is that the price is low, so like no one really cares about us because we're kind of in the shadows. That's like my pessimistic view. My optimistic view is when you guys remember the whole Jack Dorsey Web3 kind of saga on Twitter, where Jack Dorsey said, "Oh, the VCs own Web3, you guys are kidding yourself." And a big influencer responded with an article about EOS firing Block 1. And I perhaps think that gave us some street cred out there outside of EOS, and that we kind of, we're the community, we took it back. And so maybe also that is contributing to the nice quiet I've felt in the last couple weeks in terms of the FUD or the negativity. So yeah, so that's been interesting. We're working on other languages, still working on new languages. We got the beginner's guide translated to Swahili. And yeah, we're just still, and I'm waiting for the end of the period for all the hives to come out with all the bounties that they did. We're going to review those. We're going to come out with a big report. But for now, we're just kind of doing our thing. I'm kind of picking. So like, for example, the image that I showed, that was, that received extra funding from like the Treasury of the Global Hive. So these like big pieces of content that are going to be translated in all the languages, though that's coming from the Global Hive. And so that's why I haven't shown it to you guys. But yeah, just picking those out and just, distributing into all our languages.
Hey, one question, Jesse. So for the bees on Twitter, do they self-identify as being a bee? Like, is that, I feel like some of them don't mention it, but
right.
Has that been considered? Because the idea, I'm talking with my wife about this, and she's sort of saying how, like, if it seems like it's too obvious that it's like paid promotion, it's almost less valuable, if that makes sense, to the unaware. Where if it just seems like it's a legitimate person commenting, then it seems like it might carry more weight. Has that sort of idea been? Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, because I don't think it's mutually exclusive, legitimacy and being paid. I think it could be both, and it can also not be both. So like, to answer your question literally, some of our bees say they're bees and some don't. But I do ask them to put hashtag EOSBees when they do a post, so that it kind of does identify them. But this is totally like something that I've heard, that because we're an organization, a marketing organization, does our word carry less weight because we are getting paid? I have not seen any evidence of that. I'm not sure if the evidence would be clear. So it's a tough question. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, well, that was I was trying to say, like, she was arguing that it is less valuable. So like, all the reasons, whatever, right? So, but to me, it's like, well, if the premise is excellent, fighting FUD, someone posted a shit comment that's not accurate, because you're really, the bees aren't there to, my impression is that they're there to correct misunderstandings about the
Right.
EOS ecosystem, not just to go EOS. Yeah. Like, it's not just this, cheerleader thing. It's more like a educational thing.
It's both. Yeah.
It's both, but it definitely, like, I think the value is more personally is just in this FUD fighting bit. But if you're you're unaware of EOS, you come across a post, like say this CoinDesk article on Twitter, and someone goes down there, scam coin, shit, don't go anywhere near it. And then you see like 7 responses and they all say EOS bees, EOS bees, EOS bees. Then the uninformed be like, well, that seems kind of schmarmy, versus like, random person says this, another random person says that, another random person says that. So I kind of see the point. So I was curious. That's why I was asking, like, how.
Yeah, we shouldn't all say EOSBs, EOSBs. We ask our bees to create. It could just be very short, but just your own opinion on your own positive opinion on what is happening here. But yeah, it's just something that we're gonna have to monitor. Yeah. And there is one more thing. Well, John, if you want to say something on this topic.
Yeah, I was just I had a question.
Sure.
Is there any other blockchains that have the like a, their version of EOSPs?
Yeah. Maybe I can show you guys. Man, what was it called? Yeah, I got it. Hold on. Oh wait, this isn't it. There's
Same theme.
I got the URL wrong. Here it is, .io. That's why. So here's some copycats here. This is on the Solana blockchain. They got a bee army.
Wow, literally bees. That's funny. Wait, is this when you say copycat? Did this come after the EOSPs?
Yeah. This came after.
And they got 2,000 people. Is that what? Scroll down there. Is that what I read there?
No, these are the NFTs that are available.
Oh, it's a.
And
collection.
I'm glad you said that because it used to say 10,000. So maybe 2,000 people claimed, but you can claim multiple NFTs per wallet. So they're doing something similar. Yeah. So the answer to your question, yes.
That's so funny that it's the same concept of bees.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're just copying what we're doing, but what they're not doing is the bees have a competitive advantage in the marketing space because we're coordinating languages. That's the point. These guys are not doing that. They're just kind of doing a more standard kind of marketing group, it looks like.
Interesting.
I also, while I'm sharing my screen, so we just got control. Our community, Dario led this initiative. Ariana from Cypherglass had control of this page with 17.8 thousand members. We have recently got control of it, and we're going to clean up this image here. But I just want to let everyone know, if you don't already know, that if you want to share anything, please consider also doing it on here. We do get views. And I would actually say, I know I talked about the FUD. This is actually where most of the FUD is, at least from what I can see. And we're looking everywhere. And so I'd encourage everyone to participate in the comments. I accidentally, I kind of chose the wrong meme to post. See if I can find it. It just got obliterated in the comments. Where is this meme? Maybe it just looked 2 more seconds. I guess
Doing a good job of putting content up there, like lots of stuff.
Yeah. So we're trying to put we're trying to update everything, like a lot of stuff, or like everything on Twitter, everything on Reddit. Just like we're adding Facebook to our kind of, here it is. So we have to go back, Marty, save the world. No, we have to go back and buy EOS. And all the comments were like, well, it's just the same price if you go back and buy EOS. So yeah, that was my bad. I got to pick better memes to put on here. But
that is pretty funny. I mean, it's not funny if you're a holder, but funny as far as a response to a meme goes.
Yeah.
Well, good job. That's been on the go for a while to get that Facebook. So congrats to Dario for being persistent on that. I don't know how he pulled it off, but that's great.
Yeah, it was like kind of like a miracle kind of thing. It's just one day Facebook sent him a notification because he had like applied to take over the page. Like he applied as an admin, and usually like the current admin has to approve it. But I think what happens is that when there's a certain amount of time of inactivity for a Facebook admin page, it like the computer automatically like triggers the pending admins. And so he just woke up one day and he was then, holy shit, I'm admin of this page now. So he kicked Ariana out, invited me, invited the other bees, and we got it now.
It was like a coup.
Friggin' saga is what that was.
Yeah.
Like it took forever.
That's great.
Amazing.
Congrats, Dario. He's watching.
Thank you, Dario.
There's hope after all.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jesse. Randall.
Hey, So basically, there have not been a lot of updates from EU support part. We are just building because the platform seems to be the most important thing for us right now. We have a lot of content. We've been helping people when they come to EU support. And we are praying that EOS gets better so that we don't get a lot of tickets regarding the technology itself. So far so good on that end. But the platform part of it, yeah, it's a lot of work. So we deployed our multi-sig. So now when there is any donation that comes in, basically there's a percentage split for development, and then there is some that goes to the treasury for payment for the EU support representatives. I basically put so far I put 5 people on the multi-sig. Now the multi-sig is in effect. I'm working with the devs. We are trying to build like a portal on the back end so that we can have Dario or any of the admins that are part of the financial team to initiate an MSIG if they have to, straight from the EU support platform. We are also working on implementing the frequent asked questions FAQs on the main page, and also to have that be in like 9 different languages. So far, we have multiple locations where we are having our data. So just in case if the website is down, there's going to be another page, another location where people can pull from, right? And the main page is also going to have everything that is on the other locations, so that there's multiple locations for people to fetch information. So we are finishing up on that, and we currently started thinking or designing like a voting type of a system where people can get rewarded for just showing up, signing up for EOS account, and just doing activities. Just by voting on things, they will get some EOS. So we are working on that, and then I'm working with Jesse on a solution on a referral system that will eventually also give more incentives to people who want to participate and help build EOS and talk to other users about EOS and stuff like that. So that's what majority of my time has been. And in terms of like creating content, we're just always tweeting what we've written that we think is valuable. And so far so good. And we are taking all these suggestions from the community, and we are trying to work on them so that we can bring some positivity to the ecosystem. So that's what we've been doing so far.
Very interesting. And you mentioned at the beginning that you're hoping to get less tickets about technical issues with EOS.
Yes.
Do you like collect those and then hand those off to a particular group?
Yes. So what we do is mostly we try not to talk to the community readily when we see a problem. We try to see what is going on, then we talk to the right team. So I'll give you an example. Like when we have a problem with
like the scam warnings.
Yes. So let's say we have a problem with, let's say an exchange, for example. We look to see if it's true, and then we will reach out to one of the developers and talk to them. And in some instances, I think there's one instance where I reach out to Eve to try to get like someone that can help us if he knows someone, right? And then he will bring others on board as well. There are instances that, we will reach out to Aaron himself, right? And then Aaron will tell us what's going on and how we can help with the situation, or sometimes he will step in and he will tell us what to do, right? But we collect all these tickets and we look at it and see if we have to reach out to the person or we don't have to reach out to the person. And sometimes we hold on to the ticket for a little bit longer to examine, to see if whatever that is being said is a problem or it's not a problem. Right now, we are seeing a problem actually with the Eden onboarding. Okay, there is a problem there that people are signing up, they go through their inductions, then they will delete all their social media handles. Okay, we don't want to bring it up and make it seem like, okay, it's a big problem yet, because we want to see why that is being done. Why are people starting to do that? Is it because people don't want us to trace them and know who they are easily, and they are going to bring more people so that they can vote other people into positions? Like, what is the reason behind that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting actually. So while we are doing that, I'm also coming up with a solution on how we can prevent these things from happening. So I have a solution in mind, but I just want to see the whole thing through first, and then we will reach out to maybe the Clarion team or whoever that might be important to help us figure it out so that we can come up with solutions.
Could I mention something? So Randall talked about a referral system. Randall and I are trying to think through a referral system. Forgot to mention that. I just want to quickly just give my point of view on that. And so we want to reward people for bringing on qualified users onto EOS. We want to use the EOS support agents to qualify those people. And we want to give a reward to the people who recruit them. And I'm very interested in this and spending time thinking through this with Randall, because as the bees, we want to do these massive programs to bring on users that have a certain personality that can match them with a DApp. And so that's like two routes. We want to do like a YouTube ad campaign. We want to partner with a DApp and make like an animated video for them. And when people click on the video, they go in, they get qualified by an EOS support agent, and then possibly get an EOS account. Another way is like a more organic way, getting users through like a new brand. I do have an idea for that. I'm not ready to share it right now, but so for the bees, we can not only like our bees could get a reward, we can get extra rewards, but it's going to track all of the new users we're bringing in. And that's really important to justify more funds for us. And on the support side and for the community side, we're gonna, if this works, potentially get a lot of insights on what type of users are coming in and which dApps do they like. And so I'm really excited about this, and hopefully it can work out, and the EOS support team will build it and it'll be successful.
Awesome. Okay. I'll keep going in the original order I had. So Lovejoy, you're next. And then, yep.
Hello. Yeah, just not a whole lot to report. Not much that's pertinent to Eden anyway. Just still getting oriented with the ENF, and yeah, looking for ways to spend my Eden budget creatively for the community. So we have some ideas on that we'll talk about later. But yeah, I don't have much to go on about today. We'll keep it at that.
Then I won't ask any follow-up questions. I'll do myself. So not much either as far as, so a couple things are happening, I suppose. There's one, I can't recall what I spoke about last week. If I mentioned there's another organization, I guess you could say, a bit of a DAO that's going to be announced the coming weeks. And it's going to include a tweak, but a version of the Eden process. I think I maybe did mention it. Did I mention this last week?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so that's still ongoing. We're making more progress there, and so that's still coming out. I think it's pretty neat to see a new twist to Eden, same sort of thing, but a twist. I think that's going to be fun, and yeah, that's kind of the main. I'm kind of working on that as my Eden style working and stuff. And then there's another the part about the BP viewing and sort of the historical look there. Nothing to speak about that yet. I'm sort of depending on someone else to do some work, and then I'll work on a report after that. So still waiting for that to come out. That's me. So John, you're last.
Yeah, I'm doing stuff, but it's all Clarion, so it's classified.
Did you sign NDA?
I don't know, I have to check. But yeah, no update that I can make publicly other than getting shit done.
Right on. Is the idea of opening Violet Garden up to non-Eden members, is that still in the works? I assume yes.
Yes, but it's kind of be like tied with the future, Clarion Eden 2.0 sort of, project. So yeah, we'll have its new dynamic there.
Very cool. Okay, awesome. All right, well, that is the end of our updates. The next item on the agenda.
Wait, hold on. Will all these Violet Garden updates be in the white paper, John?
Yeah, there will be some Violet Garden related stuff in the white paper. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, yeah. So next item is the recent interview that came, well, part 1 and part 2 came out as we were on this call, so we won't be able to speak to that. But part 1 of the Zach, Eve, and Dan interview. Wanted to get some thoughts from the group about that and what they felt about it.
I haven't seen it yet. Did someone want to do like a quick recap of what was touched on or something like that?
Aaron, did you make notes? You might have a sweet recap.
I made some notes, but they were more counterpoints than they were comprehensive notes of the video. So I don't know if I can give a complete overview.
It was all the thing that Aaron disagreed with.
Pretty
That's
much.
great. Yeah,
I
bring
mean, it was just me pausing throughout the video and then being like, oh, but what about this? So yeah, the video, I mean, I think that the overall ideas were right. And it was that this is going to be a community effort. And one, like, I'm kind of looking at some of the notes I took as well. And it's about finding the people that are passionate about the things in the community that they're strong at and having them do those things. It seems like that was a very broad takeaway from the first portion of the video that we saw, was just that the video felt like it was addressing that very moment in time, and then it came out a couple days later and felt a little disconnected, because it was a video response to like Telegram discussions a week before, sort of thing. So you're like, yeah, that we worked through that and you guys talked about that probably really close to when that discussion happened. But then the discussion came to the same conclusion in a lot of ways. And it's a little odd, but we're all figuring this out right now. So
maybe I'll add just, there's some timestamps. So these kind of give the rough topics. Like there was an intro, then relationship between ENF and Dan, then development priorities, working in parallel, challenges for decentralized protocols, reaching consensus, protocol upgrades versus system contracts. I found that especially interesting. Taking action, feedback processes, and listening to the community. So John, those are the main topics. And it was interesting, especially I like the protocol upgrades versus system contracts, because that, just not being technical, I didn't quite understand the difference. And the summary that I took away was that protocol is EOS IO protocol, nodes have to upgrade, like it's a much more difficult task to make protocol changes, versus system contracts, which are just contracts that can be deployed and they're more opt-in. Did I get that right?
Yeah, so the thing is, I think a lot of people get it confused when Dan is talking about a system contract, right? Because then some people think that he's talking about the protocol level, right? Because the protocol level, all the other sister chains and the exchanges have to upgrade. But a lot of times he's just talking about only EOS, changing the EOS system contract so that we can use that to build what can work and function better on EOS. And that has nothing to do with Telos, or it has nothing to do with Ultra, right? But sometimes people go on not Instagram, Telegram. And then they go crazy, they go ballistic. So I think I was very happy and pleased that he actually explained that in detail. So that was really helpful.
Well, and to expand upon that, system contracts also do need to be standardized. They do have their own unique flavors from chain to chain, but for somebody like us who's working on Anchor, we need consistency on system contracts. So that way we don't have to go and, like, let's say there's 100 EOS.io chains in 5 years. If all of them use different system contracts, it could be a nightmare. So there's a lot of truth in what is being said there from the system level. But there's also some nuance to it that the video probably didn't get into as deep. Yeah, and I think when we're talking about like the account proposal that was put out, that you could say is a system contract and that it only affects EOS, but that's not true, because then the EOS.io developers who are working on all of these chains need to make accommodations for that new system in order to take advantage of it. So there's a lot of nuance, and it's going to be on a per topic basis. There's more than 2 buckets is I think the point.
Yeah, really interesting, the trade-off with EOS specific and EOS.io, or the broader EOS.io. And again, I'm not a developer, obviously, but it feels to me that so the whole interview was in lieu of the name proposal by Dan, and that's changing the system contract. I think it feels like Dan is very focused on EOS, and other stakeholders are also focused on other EOS.io chains. So that kind of push and pull is really fascinating to watch, to kind of see how the community interacts. Like we all know we're on like the bleeding edge of this stuff, uncharted waters. And yeah, it's just like Aaron said, it just has to be circumstantial. It's like, how much do we kind of agree in the EOS specific versus broader EOS.io? Yeah, that's a tough one. It'll be interesting to kind of see.
Yeah, and I mean, coming off of the EOS.io Plus working group and just being a block producer for years on all these other chains, they have things that would be beneficial to EOS if we're talking about EOS specifically. And if we can use and contribute to the things that they make that could improve EOS, and then if we improve things on EOS that they could then take and apply to their specific flavor of EOS.io, like there's a huge win relationship we could have there. So there's a decent amount of my feedback, I think, comes from that point of view, from the EOS.io point of view. We want all chains to succeed. It's not that we want to hinder the efforts of one chain. It's just that we want a good, like, this is the open source community. We're supposed to be sharing modular ideas that we can then leverage and create even better things together. So like prime example is this account name system that's Dan proposed to make accounts better. Like those exist on other chains that we could leverage. Dan's proposal is a proposal for EOS specifically that these other chains are not going to adopt. So in the EOS.io spectrum, it's like, I want a solution that works across all of them and everybody is happy with, and that's going to take time to be able to come to consensus on how to build that properly. And it's going to be more than just, let's do it.
In that example there, oh, sorry, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's always a trade-off, because keeping that consistency is very expensive. And sometimes I ask, shit, how much support do we want to go across? Like how much time and energy should we go to, towards supporting 6 chains on something, all of which, aren't amazing kind of thing, or should we go, you know, all in on one, you know, screw the other chain sort of attitude and make, you know, something, you know, amazing that sort of, you know, takes off there as well. That like there's a trade-off between that. It's convenient having the consistency, but it is expensive at the same time. It's not
True.
something that's free.
You're just gonna have to consider who you're gonna lose if you start being tribalistic towards one chain, and that might include gray mass. Like I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, well,
That was my question, Aaron. So in this name thing, does this particular example of a system contract on EOS, will that affect how your wallet will work between chains now? Like, do you have to now consider special EOS only?
Yes.
You do. Okay.
Yes, and I brought it up in the developers channel, but there's a certain level of trust with the API nodes for this proposal that just cannot be met without significant engineering effort.
Yeah, so we talked about that last week.
Yeah, so there's problems like that that are going to stop other chains from adopting it. It's going to stop products from adopting it. Sorry, I might have tangented off of your original question.
Yeah, that's
I was interested in, Aaron, you said that the solutions, other chains have the solution that Dan's proposing. My gut feeling is that Dan has to be proposing something different than the other chains. Like, if other chains had the solution, why isn't he just using that solution?
I don't have a good answer to that. I could speculate because he's unaware of these things, because he wants something right now and wants to do it himself. Because I don't know.
But you're doubling down that the solution is exactly what he wants. Maybe not exactly, but does the job that he described on other chains.
Yes, and I will add a caveat that I think that there's a possibility that everything he expects is impossible. So we have to take gradual steps forward to building these kinds of systems. And the gradual step forward might be leveraging like what Telos has with profiles and expanding upon it with a few additional features. But like Dan is building an app and Dan has a need. And we need that need to be presented in a way that it can be understood by everyone. And then it can be built for more than just one app. Like the way that Dan needs it is going to be the way that Dan needs it. But the way that other apps need the same thing needs to be taken into account. And a singular app developer is not going to have a good scope of what that is. I will have a better scope, I believe, on what that is, because I'm working with like hundreds of app developers that want the same thing. So it's like all of those other app developers need to be taken into consideration.
So Aaron, so this is what I'm getting from this conversation. So what I'm getting is this: you are sitting at the table, and all the sister chains, or everyone that's involved with the different chains, they respect you because you provide some services to all of them that is valuable.
True.
So my take is this: Dan in his interview was saying that he talks to his team first. Then after talking to his team, he reached out to a couple of community members before he puts the idea in Telegram or he writes about the idea. I will highly suggest that we make a push that he speaks to you as well, because it shouldn't be news to you. Because if you know what is out there, and I saw that one time you had to correct him because he was looking for something. You were like, you guys already talked about it and it's being actually worked on, right? So you pointed him to the right direction. I think that is what you bring to the table, right?
That's the challenge. It's communication.
Yeah, the communication has to be better. Like, there are certain people that you talk to, even though they are one person, you talk to them, they will show you the way because they have the information, right, of what you're looking for, so that you don't reinvent the wheel, or they will help you understand the landscape of the ecosystem. So I think the solution will be maybe with John being on this call, is to make sure that, you know, they bring you in a little bit on what they're trying to do, so that the things that have that is already done or has already been built, you guys can look at it and see how we can let it all fit.
Yeah, I agree. And we're all figuring that out still. When we get into Telegram, there's a lot of emotion that's lost in whatever we're saying, and it comes off in whichever way the reader wants to read it. And so Telegram blows up a little bit more. Any text conversation this happens in. And then when we get on a call and say the exact same words, you can see you can hear the tone of the voice and the pauses and these other things that add the context to it that text just loses. But that was a big part of this video. That was my takeaway, was like, okay, I think we're all on the same page. We like you said, we need to talk more.
Yeah.
And we need to also identify who we should be talking to.
Yes.
We honestly don't know. And the same goes, I had this thought when you were talking about the support stuff you guys are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I would really love to have somebody that like looks at that data and is like, okay, for Q4 of 2021 last year, these were the biggest problems users had, and publish that. Just publish it publicly until we know who the key stakeholders are in those problems, to increase that communication. So
I agree.
We're all figuring it out at this point.
So it goes back to what we spoke about the last time, right? I think at the end of the video, I said it, and I will say it again, in that if you are an expert in building wallets, right, don't take your wallet expertise and go and speak to teachers, because teachers will not understand what the heck you are talking about, right? They will make a lot of noise, they will panic, a lot of things will happen, right? But you are not going to make any progress, right? The same way a teacher shouldn't bring whatever that they are doing and come and explain it to the damn person who's an expert in building wallets. That person has no interest. They might say some things, but it might turn into maybe an unproductive conversation. So it boils down to who are you talking to? Who is this person? What are their expertise? Before the information gets out to the community as a whole, right? Because in the community as a whole, you will still get some quality feedback from people who are even experts on the topic, right? But at that point, you have already listened to those that they have a broader understanding on what that person is trying to do or trying to build. So at least that feedback that's coming in, Aaron, you can get on Telegram and you can explain it better because you already know what is about to happen, right? There will be others like John who can also explain it better because he was on the conversation, and it helps a lot. It changes the dynamic of a community, right? So I think if we start working along those lines, instead of working in silos, it will help tremendously. I think that's just my opinion. But in most businesses and stuff, you have to collaborate. You have to talk to others, and you have to share their thoughts. But talking to others meaning talking to the people that matter, right? I'm not saying that others don't matter, but there are some people that they know what they're talking about, and there's some people that don't know what they're talking about, right? We can all be in a class and we can learn something, but 3 people, they will score 100 every single time. It's because they get it and because that's what they are good at that point in time. And there can be another class that the other people who are not scoring 100, that would be their shine because that's what they like. That's what they are good at that point in time, right? Some people are good with music. Some people are good with art. Some people are good with ability to comprehend, understand, put the problems together, have a solution for it. Some people are good with their hands. Some people are good with their foot. They are good with playing soccer. Some people are good with running. We are all different. But talking to the right person at the right time always brings coordination, collaboration, and a fruitful conversation. And that's where innovations are born, actually, I think.
I have a question. Like for this name service, for example, I'm always confused, or not confused. Like I always want to know, like, where is it in the path of getting adopted? Like for the United States government, like you can go on a website. Okay, it's a bill. Now it's passed the House. It's passed the Senate. The president signed it. It's a law. So like, just for example, for this name proposal, where is it right now? And does it have it? What's the chances of it actually becoming part of the code?
I think it is just a proposal right now. It's not moving anywhere. It is. It's hard because like we're going to have a lot of these types of proposals coming out over the next month, let's say. And then the community is going to need a while to evaluate them if they choose to opt in and participate in that bigger discussion. And then we need to figure out a path forward based on what information is collected at that point. That is, in my view, the position we're in right now.
Is there a standard path forward?
No, that's being defined right now. You know, we just like we are 2 months into figuring out how this greater community moves forward in some sort of cohesive unit. And a lot of those processes are still being figured out. The working groups were kicked off as like a, hey, let's just start thinking about things without deciding anything. So that way, once we get to a point where the network and the networks like all together can start making decisions, they have an array of topics to make decisions on. So we're all throwing spaghetti at the wall right now. And
so just basic, sorry. So you just wait for a proposal from the top 21 block producers, like an MSIG, for example, the name change code to be implemented. I mean, that's pretty much what you're looking out for, right? And if it gets the votes or not.
No. Before that, there would probably be some sort of communication. Like if we're specifically talking about EOS, it would need to be signed by the block producers. You'd probably make a presentation of some sort that like, hey, this is what we would like to build. Maybe it's this name thing like we're talking about. And
so Dan's already done that with the names.
Well, not really. It's not well defined enough. The block producers would evaluate that and say, we would be likely to improve this so long as it didn't break other things. Then I'm assuming it could be developed. I don't know, funding methods and everything is still being figured out. And then ultimately it comes back to the block producers and it's like, okay, here's the finished code. We've run it on a test net for X amount of time and we've done testing. Now we need your approval. And that's kind of the overall flow. The ENF is probably the one that would take the mostly formed idea and get it in front of the BPs. But again, that process is still being figured out. It exists, but it probably needs a more formal process because there's about to be, I don't know, 100 proposals for things we could do. Like that, we have this one thing we're talking about right now, but we need that process to scale. We can't, like every time somebody writes a blog post, we can't like demand time from
the VPs.
People. Yeah. So
it's going to filter to the ENF. Whatever ideas are best will rise to the ENF. The ENF will present to the VPs. Feedback. They do the code, testnet back to the VPs, yay or nay.
And for some things, the ENF or a representative of EOS will also bring these proposals to whatever comes out of EOS IO Plus. And the broader group of blockchains will evaluate if it has impact and if it is likely to be adopted on their networks. So they could also help contribute to the success of that. And then they would do that. When the code's done, each network would then say, okay, this is the final code. do we deploy now? So it's kind of like it spiders out across multiple networks. It's really complicated and we're just starting to scratch the surface.
So Aaron, so my thing is, we have a software, right? We do have a software alliance right now, right? That's the six chains, right? And the 6 chains, they have to decide on how to fund the software, the protocol level, right? They have to decide on the name change, and so many other things, right? So my take is, especially for the name change, let me forget about the name change. When it comes to any proposal, it has to come from the person who needs that thing the most. The chain that needs that thing the most has to be the ones that bring that proposal to the front.
Potentially, yeah.
They have to back it up with whatever stake or whatever that they are willing to provide to make that thing a reality, right? And once they bring it to the table, then the others will now go home, do their homework on it, bring it to their communities, and then the communities will now have a fight on whatever the heck it is, right? Or Telegram or Twitter. And then at the end of it all, the people who are representing that chain will come forth and vote on it, because the people can actually vote them out, or they can actually give them a bad name. If the whole community now thinks that Aaron sucks, it's going to be bad for you, right? So they will go and they will vote yes or no, depending on how the sentiment of the community is. But each community has to have their own ways of evaluating what the sentiment is. Yep. Is it Eden? Are we going to get into Eden type of thing? But when you do that, it's only Eden. What about the others who are not Eden members? So each community, I don't know how it is with Telos, they have to have their own way of, I would say, testing the waters of how the community feels. And then once they get to their weekly meetings, then they can vote yes or no. That's it, yes or no on the situation. And then they just move forward. And then
if you watch the EOS.io call that was recorded the same day, it'll be the second EOS.io Plus call. Like we discussed this, that it is up to each chain to determine a method for its network of token holders to come to consensus. So on EOS, that could be Eden, or it could be delegated proof of stake. Like the block producers could decide, or maybe the ENF decides, maybe
or Telegram will decide.
The referendum tool is really nice.
The referendum tool could be used. Telos has Telos decide.
Telos decide.
Yeah, I mean,
open source, probably bring it over here and use that.
And then you have other chains that are mostly directed by a single company, like Wax. Like Wax might make those decisions regardless of what the BPs think. Or maybe they'll delegate that responsibility to the BPs and be like, hey, like, what do you guys think of this? Like, we trust your judgment. And then they also has the OIG, which is like this intermediary body that could also make decisions. So really it's up to each chain how they want to participate in this broader thing. But to like bring this all the way back to what was talked about on that call, all of this is really in flux. And it's going to be really hard to know what the path forward is right now with like so many people asking so many questions. We just have to assume that nothing is fixed right now, and it's going to be dynamic. I think you said that a little bit earlier, Vandal. It was that like there needs to be a shift in the dynamics a little bit of how this works. When Dan posts something, it doesn't mean it's happening. When I post something, it doesn't mean it's happening. These papers, when they're released, it doesn't mean that they're happening. Like we're figuring EOS out, and then we're also figuring out this network of other blockchains out on top of it and how it all plays together. And it's chaos that we're trying to bring order to.
The reason why the chaos is felt the most in EOS is because EOS is the one that is actually, going through a lot, right? So
what do you mean?
Because I mean, like EOS, it doesn't even have a path forward. Like Telos knows what they want to do. They are Telos. They're
EOS
going to move
also has
forward.
the most FUD.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it seems to be the one that is
Got
like
it.
hurting the most. It
Yep.
has a thorn on its side. So I think at this point in time, EOS has to figure it out within itself,
Mhm.
within the community itself, right? How it makes decisions.
Yep.
That is
EOS is having an
so
identity crisis, right? The whole split
Yes.
one has been, but I honestly
Well-
think, I think this topic about the video has been very superficial because no one has spoken about Dan's great haircut. So, I mean, we're off the-
We're all
right.
missing out.
Yeah.
we do have other topics. I feel like we should move it along because we're digging into this a lot.
Yeah.
Any final words anyone wants to say about this, or can I move it on to the next one?
I have one quote that makes sense, and then let's move on. This is from Dan in that video, and he said that I can share a link or something on this. It's the 505 seconds in for the timestamp. The correct answer is we need all these things to be done at maximum velocity. The person suited for doing some of these things is the person most passionate about whatever that it is that's being done. Like, we need to identify these people that are passionate about these things and that can help deliver regardless of network and regardless of who they are. Like, that's the process we're in right now. And you just can't point to a person and be like, oh, this person's going to make sure this happens, because we're figuring out who's passionate about what and who's going to be able to drive things. So
it's like that the squeaky wheel gets the grease type of approach, right?
Mhm.
Whoever's squeaking is gonna get grease.
but we want people that are passionate about putting that squeak out. Like,
Right.
if you're, yeah.
Very good. Good finality there. Okay. So the next topic was today we had a suite of articles put out around EOS and positive moves, and I'll just kind of run through them quick. CoinDesk came out with EOS creator Dan Larimer is back. Yahoo.com, Dan Larimer returns to the EOS Foundation. CoinRivet.com, Dan Larimer returns to the EOS Foundation to rebuild after Block 1 axed. CoinCura, EOS Network to enter a new era led by ENF and Dan Larimer. Crypto Potato, Dan Larimer and ENF to fork EOS.io core base into new repository called Mandel. I thought that was interesting because they're using that name even though I didn't think it was approved.
We always get the best coverage from Crypto Potato.
Potato.
We really do.
Two more, and then I'll pass it over. Crypto News, Dan Larimer returns with multi-year plan to revitalize EOS. Invez.com, Dan Larimer and EOS community rebuild network. And finally, Bywire, a declaration of EOS independence. Some good
That's
coverage,
the
I'd say.
EdenOS PR agency. They're doing work. It's great.
I caught a few inconsistencies and a couple of them I read, and it makes my brain hurt a little bit, but it's good coverage. Like with the Mandel thing that you talked about, like very clearly, if you watch the EOS.io call today, it was like, Mandel, no, it was dropped from the list. It's not happening. We said that last week, but we said it again because it came back up. It's like there are professional agencies that are going to be contracted to help brainstorm a name and secure the assets for it before anybody knows what it is, before I know what it is. And then there'll be a list of options.
Buckhorse.com would be tough to get. I think.
Yep.
I know. Come on, you know the AI already topped. You can't beat that. What the AI.
You can't beat the AI.
Yeah. So guys, in the open mic that not everyone was able to join, Yves LaRose shared the EOS.io Plus group used an AI to come up with a name, and the funniest was Buckhorse, and had a nice little description about being centralized and
Rebellious.
the EOSI community is gonna. Yeah.
I thought Bifrost was the best name personally. I think Norse mythology doesn't get enough, airtime these days.
Yeah, I'd
Apart from
agree.
the Marvel universe. But
Why horse though? I mean, it could have been fuck bear, fuck dog. It could have been anything. That's funny.
Anything. I don't know. Maybe there was like some mythology tie with one of the other words that it like played off of, or so yeah, that was one of my developers, not my developers, but a guy I work with, who's on the Gray Mass team that ran that through OpenAI and came up with a list of like 100 names. So some of them were ridiculous, that being one of them, and that has really stuck and kind of turned into a meme at this point.
Yeah.
So
Shitcoin was another one.
yeah, shitcoin was another one of them. So
on the Mandel thing, it just seems like at this point, because we need to refer to EOSIO next as something, and because there is not another name besides Mandel, that it's just going to keep getting used, and unless somebody comes up with another interim name that is better, like EOSIO 2.0 or something.
Call it Randall. It's okay. All right.
Call it Randall. Yeah, like call it Randall. Exactly.
I like it. That's good.
let's just stop
Change
using
that.
Mandel. Like that I feel is the solution. Let's keep calling it EOSIO until we have the new name.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
First two, I suppose.
I will introduce you to the Gray Mass wallet that existed for the first 2 years of EOS. That was never its name.
I'm
the
still using
community will
EOS
run with it.
voter.
Yeah. Nobody liked that, and so they ran with this other thing. And even today, they won't call it Anchor. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, Gray Mass wallet." I'm like, so yeah, that's, and funny enough, why when we originally announced Unicove and didn't do the name yet, we intentionally like made this really obnoxious name called the Untitled Web Wallet. We're like, nobody will stick to that. Let's call this the Untitled Blockchain.
There you go. The blockchain formerly known as,
Right?
yeah. Let's change our name to a symbol.
One thing I wanted to clarify, Eve,
Uh-oh.
his last name, is it Rose or Hose?
La Rose.
La Rose, but
La
ours
Rose.
in French, it's French, right? So there's like
Yeah.
a rolling R. So
Sure.
La Rose,
Sure.
it sounds like an H, but it's a rolling R.
Right.
La
Sure.
Rose.
Crap. I
Yeah,
don't
John
think
was
it
doing an
Sounds like
American accent.
HRO.
See a French accent, John.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, your American accent's really
Eve.
suffering right now.
And to be clear too, Eve is not, it's not plural. There's no, you don't pronounce the S. It's not Eve's.
yeah, I know that. I've made that mistake plenty of times. But
me too.
yeah, Eve has been in the community long enough, so I'm trying to put a bigger effort on getting his damn name right. Eve La. Yeah, no.
That was close. It was really funny. This crypto influencer covered EOS, and he was reading an article, and he read Yves LaRose, and he goes, "Wow, that's a fancy name. Who is this guy?"
Yeah, no, it's a cool name.
Yeah, it is a cool name.
So, John, you want to go to get a cheeseburger in the valley?
Yeah, man, let's get some cheeseburgers and tacos. Go for a hike in LA.
We'll have to teach you like a Midwestern accent next.
Yeah.
Then like an East Coast accent.
We'll start talking Australian.
Gotta end
Yeah,
with mate.
g'day, mate. How you going?
How you going?
Gonna throw in the shrimp and the barbie, right? That's the...
Yeah.
Thanks, TV.
Thanks, Steve.
so bad.
Any
Yeah.
any other comments then on that conversation? If not, we got one last topic we can talk about. No, okay.
It's
we'll
good to
move
see
on.
the news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, exactly right.
Go in.
Uh,
Great. Yeah.
Okay, so the last one was Pomelo. Came out with people can sign up, do their KYC. So if you've not heard yet, and you check your inbox, if you're a Pomelo grant submitter and you're looking to get your funding out of there, you got to log in and do your KYC.
When you do it, have a black background when you're taking photo of your driving license. I had to do it like 3 times, and Daniel
Damn.
Keys had to reset me every time that I failed. So dark background when you're taking photo of your driving license or whatever you use for KYC.
And use a photo. Don't like use a scanner to get a really high res copy. That was my problem. Like I had a 2 megabyte image of my passport that I was using, and it was like, this looks fake. I'm like, what? So I took a picture with my cell phone, and it was like, this looks awesome.
Yeah, do that, and maybe even don't, because I think at one point as well I had to rotate my my photo, and I used like photo editing software, and I'm not sure if that left like a different signature
Yeah.
on it or something like that. So it's actually best just use your iPhone or whatever, dark background. That's what finally got me through after my 3rd attempt.
Yeah, and the email for me came in the promotions tab on Gmail.
Mine, went directly to junk as well. So check your junk folder.
Yeah. But the
tips.
process for me was really smooth. First
Yeah.
attempt on the KYC. And
Was
so yeah, it was great for me.
Did you use like your driving license? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Was it easier than the initial sign up on Voice?
Yes. Yes.
No, I would say no.
No. Voice
No?
was.
No, because it took a longer time. Like for
Oh.
them to extract the data from my documents on the, I mean, it's not Pamel's fault. I mean, it's just the provider that they used. Kind of took a while. But I mean, that's just kind of a random comparison. I mean,
Well,
Well,
it's just one very specific to this community.
I was gonna say the fact that in the early days your voice picture was your profile and it wasn't just like, you know,
Right.
like us sitting in front of our computers taking a picture right now. You actually that made it a little bit more difficult because you weren't just uploading a document to prove who you were, but you were also setting what your face was going to be on the platform
right.
forever.
Which we didn't know about, which
Yeah.
was
It
unclear.
was terrible. There were so many shitty profile photos.
I know, it's hilarious.
Mine was bad. So
I still
Yeah.
remember exactly where I was when I took that profile photo, though. That's kind of interesting. It
think-
etched that moment in my mind forever.
Was
Yeah,
it
I'm glad
someplace-
those photos are gone.
yeah, right. I was gonna say I think I stood in front of that black curtain right there. I was like, I just want a neutral background. Yeah, I imagine the funding is starting to go to good use or being considered at this point. I know on our side, it turns out like an hour before that email came through, I got pictures from Scott, with the co-founder with Gray Mess and me. He had just taken pictures of the new data center and the first networking equipment that came in and all this stuff. And then I was like, I just claimed our Pomelo grant. I'm going to fill those racks up. So we've already
Nice.
ordered and paid for the stuff. So I think we're going to make a tweet about it soon, but I think we spent about $110,000 on hardware. 55 to 60 of it will be from the Pomelo grant. And then I don't want to say we're matching it. We're buying what we need, and the Pomelo grant helped us a lot in making sure we could get what we needed. So I know we're
Cool.
putting that money to use already. Like it's already spent.
Can
Hopefully
you
it'll be online soon.
Can you remind us what that hardware does?
Sure. Those are some
Cool.
of the aspects of our public APIs. Like in our data center right now, we have one data center in Michigan, and this new data center is going to be in Vancouver. So we'll have West Coast, East Coast that we actually own everything within. And we do things like fuel and all of the related calculations to do resource estimates and stuff internally in the data center. Our bulk history servers that serve full history run in these data centers. There's other networking components. I think I had a list on the blog post, but we serve a lot of our public API traffic in the cloud, not really, but and then our data centers do like the really heavy lifting. So we'll have some redundancy now.
Great news.
Yeah, super excited. I was actually just doing on Tuesday a history. We had to move from one disk to another on our history solution. And it was like terabytes of data. And I used this cool incremental snapshot technology, but there was the final moment where I had to turn it off and then do the last step and then turn it back on again. And that was only supposed to take a couple seconds, but in those couple seconds, if like something screwed up, we didn't have any backups, so history would have been down. So it was just like, can't wait for this other data center to come online so that if that happens, I just go, okay, everybody use this one
Wow.
without interrupting everyone that uses it.
So both data centers run concurrently, so you have like double the bandwidth, but it also runs as backup. So then if
Yep.
one goes down, you've got a backup.
Yep. We'll distribute the traffic based on whichever you're closest to start with. But then if one of them goes down, we'll just redirect it all to the other one. So it is both improvements to the performance as well as redundancy.
Would China be considered closer to Vancouver? Like
Yeah.
across the Pacific? That's the way that.
Yep.
There's a cable that runs there.
Yep.
That's wild. There's actually a
Yeah.
cable that runs between China and North America.
I think so. I don't know what exists currently, but I'm pretty sure that there's some sort of undersea cables
That's
on
wild.
that side. Just like we have undersea cables on the East Coast to Europe, and I think there's some to like the northwest portions of Africa right now, and maybe some down to South America. So
The
it's
magic of the interweb.
it is sharks chewing on cables, and I don't know.
I'm just
That's
thinking,
how we're able to have this call.
Yeah, really.
I hope there's a bit of slack in those cables. That mid-ocean rift between North America, South America, and Europe, you know, it grows about as fast as your fingernail separation. In case you didn't know that.
I think
Very
it's
cool.
distorting John's accent.
Drifting closer to other countries.
Mm.
Pangea will be reformed one day.
Get some dinosaurs back in here.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's the gist of the bullets for today. Anybody have any last final comments or topics they wanted to bring up before we shut her down?
Yeah, it just seems to me like a more positive atmosphere, like after the whole freeze situation. So I'm just happy to kind of be in the EOS community in a bit of a brighter light. And so I hope this continues, and I think it will. And I think we're going to continue making progress. And I hope and I think that our worst days are behind us. So yeah, go EOS.
Yeah,
Time heals all wounds.
that I mean, there's been some really good things starting to happen since maybe even summer of last year, and then they all just got really overshadowed and everybody lost track of them. So I think maybe with those clouds breaking up, you're starting to see that light come through finally. So good things happening.
Perfect. Well, on that note, thanks for your time, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Take it
Thanks,
easy.
everybody.